Tonight are very aggravating. Games like tonight get you in a situation where you look at the team and you see a lot of talent like Deshaun Spears, Devon Keys did a lot of really good things. You see some things offensively that you like, even though Harlem Berry got benched for God knows the reason that Frank Wilson will give. Oh, well, Blake, he fumbled. I don't give a shit. There's two things that I don't care about right now. And one of them is not giving a shit if Harlem Berry fumbles the football. You've had a month to prepare, and a lot of people will say, well, defensively, you had a month to prepare and you gave up 38 points. That's true. With 6 starters out, the best safety that you've had in quite some time, the best corner in the country that's not in this game, a couple of defensive linemen that are out. But regardless of that, Harold Perkins being out, but regardless of that, you were the reason you lost tonight. And that is the reason why games like tonight, bowl games like tonight, the final game of the season, as we wrap up the 2025 season, and it ends on another aggravating situation. For the first time this season, you score over 25 points offensively, which is something that I did not think that you could do, quite honestly, and you did, and you proved me wrong. But even though the first time that you score over 25 points, you miss a field goal that could have had a game-tying situation there at the end to tie it at 38. You have multiple situations where on third downs and critical situations, you're having 9 penalties for 95 yards that has given Houston first downs and keeping drives alive for them. And in the end of it, when you needed to stop the most, you're unable to get it. Those are the things that are aggravating that we will remember about this season. And this season has been nothing but aggravation from an on-field football standpoint to begin with. Multiple times this season, you got into the red zone. Sometimes you got at the 1-yard line and you can't punch it in. Multiple times in the red zone this season, you got to call a timeout because you're rotating guys in with 9 seconds left to go on the clock, and you got to call a timeout to kill all the momentum. Games this season where you catch 5 interceptions against a quarterback and you can only score 13 points offensively, whether you play Southeastern, whether you play Louisiana Tech, and against low-level opponents, you're still having struggles offensively. Your entire offensive staff, whether they got a new job or not, has been fired because, quite honestly, they deserve to be fired after what they constantly put on the field this season. And I sit back in a bowl game that I thought going into it wouldn't have much meaning for me. Let's see a lot of good things, win, lose, or draw. But there at the end of it, you have a chance to win. You're unable to win because you keep doing stupid stuff. You keep doing low IQ football stuff, not allowing a football to go out of bounds and fair catching it, moving you back to the 25 when you could have had the ball on the 35. And what keeps you entertained is that you see glimpses from guys like Treyz Green who make absolutely ridiculous catches, 6'7", ridiculous catches. You see Kyle Parker make a step. You see some burst and some electricity, like a 36-yard run from Harlem Berry. But every single time that you feel like that you could take over a game, you just don't have enough. Because every single time you keep finding a way to screw it up for yourself. Look, I get it. It's a meaningless bowl game to a lot of you. I understand it. It's meaningless. It doesn't mean much. So what, you lost? It's the Lane Kiffin era. But as I look back on the 2025 season, as I remember not only Brian Kelly and this entire offensive staff getting moved on from, bringing on the best play caller in all of college football offensively, in my humble opinion, what I will remember about 2025 the most, outside of the biggest thing being Lane Kiffin, is that offensively, you could not get out of your own way. As a team, you could not get out of your own way. So now I look at a guy coming in Lane Kiffin and say, thank you, sweet Jesus above. Because now you got the best offensive play caller in the country on your side? Were there things tonight that I think he looks at people and says, all right, whatever Treyz Green asks for, give it to him because I'm going to be able to use that. Harlem, so what Frank didn't play him in the second half? Frank has had 4 seasons of really running back rotations, and it's about time we rip that Band-Aid off. So what? He fumbled. You can't run the ball because you have backs with zero vision, and the offensive line's fault. It's not the offensive line's fault when you're missing cutback lanes and you're running into the backs of your offensive linemen and getting brought down. Then what puts the cherry on top with the sprinkles, hashtag Pop-Tart Bowl, what puts the freaking sprinkles on top of it for me is tonight you actually hit multiple fade shots. One being to Chris Hilton. The thing that I will remember the most about the 2025 season is from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint, you kept shooting yourself in the foot over and over again to get you in the current situation that you are currently in with a complete regime change offensively, a complete regime change in the entire athletic department with the AD going down and Scott Woodward and bringing in Verge Alsbury. The thing that I will remember the most is I just feel like the lack of, this is just so brutal from me, the lack of just overall football IQ. And that's not going to make me any friends. But my goodness gracious, I did not think that a bowl game at midnight when we start a show would rile me up this much. And then at the end of it, you get your hand on the onside kick and you can't recover it. You're always just right there. You're the guy at the bar that has charmed the pants off of a 10, and then you say something stupid, and then you don't score. That's what I feel like. We're the guy at the bar that's about to land a 10, a smoke show, an outright baddie. And then we say something so dumb, so absolutely incredibly dumb, and she walks away from you because you're a creep. That's what I think about. We will have so much over the next couple of weeks. And even tonight, as Tyree Adams announces that he's going in the portal, Cohen Eccles going in the portal, Carius Kern going in the portal. Good. You gave up 4 sacks tonight. There's nobody besides Carius Kern that is currently announced that they're going in the portal that's not irreplaceable. Just being blunt with you. There's not a one. So I see all the stuff on social media. Oh, my God, everybody's jumping off ship at LSU. Well, no one's irreplaceable on a 7-6 football team. Are there some pieces that you just don't want to miss and you got to retain and you got to hold on to? Lane Kiffin mentioned as much in his interview tonight with ESPN, which we'll also get to. There are guys that you have to retain, and some of them, quite frankly, are non-negotiables. And I think Treyz Green and Harlem are those two. But my goodness gracious, I mean, from a coaching standpoint offensively, and quite bluntly, let's just rip the Band-Aid off at 12:17 a.m. in the morning while we do this. Quite honestly, no one's irreplaceable along that offense other than maybe a handful of dudes. And it's not even really a handful. It's really just a couple. So say what you will, do what you will, but you come to AYS Sports because you want to hear the truth. And the truth just was given to you. The truth is the truth is the truth. Oh, it's not proper to go out there and say the things that he's saying. It's just not cordial. Fuck cordial. Cordial's got you $53 million in the hole. It would wind up being, and it's going to wind up being, north of $70 million when it's all said and done. If you pay Brian Kelly out full and all these coaches and paying out for Lane Kiffin and his offensive staff, but now you got to go and get it. Now you got to go and get it. The portal will open in 6 days, 7 days, whatever in the Rudy Poo it is, and sky's the limit about what you're going to do. I have a lot of excitement and a lot of faith about where you're being led. But it comes on the aggravation of just outright stupidity in some of the things that we did. Outright stupidity. So, guys, I mean, what drives me more crazy, and I'm glad Tom Hart brought this up, guys, you're at the 6-inch line, and you're going in from the shotgun. You're in a 3rd and goal situation at the end of the game. You run a jet sweep, and Treyz Green, Xavier Thomas gets the rushing touchdown. Bullshit. When people remind me of this Houston game in the Texas Bowl, what Blake Ruffino is going to remember, which is very easy, is that Treyz Green scored 3 touchdowns. The 2 receiving and the 1 of him pulling in Xavier Thomas to try to get you in a situation where you win the game. Like, why have we not utilized Darren Burrell when we're constantly missing field goals with Damian Ramos? All of these things just compile. Everyone that's sitting on their couch at home that's an LSU fan can easily tell you the issues. Well, obviously you can't run the ball, but even when you get into the red zone this season, you have constant mistake after constant mistake. You're having to call timeouts. You can't get to the 1-foot line and then just get under center and call a quarterback sneak. You couldn't do it versus Vandy. You couldn't do it here tonight. You had to come up with a gimmick to get a touchdown against a Big 12 team that's not that good. So what? They got 10 wins. That's not a good football team that you just played. And we all know the issues. We all know the problems. We all know the leaks. It's like, listen, when you're trying to lose weight and you go on a diet, you know the reason you're not losing weight. You can't eat Oreos and lose weight. Well, I'm counting my calories. You can't eat Oreos. You can't go get a deep-fried king cake with Mardi Gras right around the corner. And yes, king cakes are out. I had the in-laws here tonight, by the way. In-laws are in town. So in-laws come in, having a Christmas. We go to Rouse's, and you got king cakes. Don't tell me king cakes aren't here. You can't eat a king cake and be little. That's why my fat ass isn't. Oh, good Lord. It bugs the shit out of me, man. It bugs the shit out of me. So we'll talk about the game. We'll do it a little bit more different tonight. We're actually going to break it down by quarters. We got to get into what Lane Kiffin said. Some guys hit the portal. We'll take some of your questions. We're not going to do a normal post game. I'm not going play by play. I can't do it. We're done. I'm not doing it. So if you come to these post games, you know what we do here, how we do it. We normally take it drive by drive and we talk about and break down the whole game. We're not doing that tonight. I don't have the energy. Now I'm live and awake and I'm ready to go. I'm bushy-tailed. I'm ready to go. It's not about that. It's about the constant stupidity that we would have to go through. So we'll break all that down. Every AYS Sports post game is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app. Semifinal, quarterfinal games will be right around the corner for college football. You got the NFL that's ramping up. Their playoffs going to be starting soon. You can place all those bets with our good friends over at FD Sportsbook with our good friends over at FanDuel. We're proudly powered with our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the app for us. Any thoughts, questions, concerns, go to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. Reliable gambling is what that RG stands for. I know that I set my preferences. I don't want to go over a certain number every month. You could do it there as well, and that was a big selling point when we powered with our good friends over at FanDuel. Do us a favor, hit the like and share. If you're on Facebook, share to all those groups and all those social media pages. If you're on YouTube, still 60% of you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel that are watching the show. All I ask, get us to 20,000. hit that subscribe button. Tell all your friends. That's all I ask. That's all I'm going to ask tonight for you to do. Hit that subscribe button. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Couple of ways you can get involved in the show. You become a member on the YouTube channel, or you can send in a super chat that we will get into at the end of the show here. But I see a lot of super chats flying around here, and we will get to all of those in the end of it. All right, let's get to the game here. Look, first play of the game is a kickoff to Barrion Brown, and something that we thought he would do all season was very simple. 99-yard kick return for a touchdown that was absolutely electric. It just shows the level of talent that you did have on the field. Guys, you had more speed than them. You were bigger than them. You had a lot more to work with than them. That's a 10-win football team that you just played in Houston, and quite honestly, you're better than them. You're more talented than them. You are. The first play of the game showed that. When you're able to outrun them the way that you did. But Barrion Brown, for the first time this season, I know a lot of us thought that he would maybe get one earlier than the bowl game, but he returns one for just an absolutely electric score. Absolutely freaking electric score, and you're able to go up 7-0. First possession for the defense, really good stop. You had a lot of guys in there. So let's talk about this. We saw a lot of changes tonight and some guys that we will discuss. Deshaun Spears gets the start tonight, and I thought Deshaun Spears played absolutely fantastic. All night long, Deshaun Spears was coming up in coverage and making really good tackles. He was coming up to the line of scrimmage, making a lot of really good tackles, and did a lot of really good things just overall. I don't remember how many tackles that he wound up having on the night. I probably could look at that very quickly to tell you how many tackles that he had on the night. But Deshaun Spears, 8 tackles on the night, 1 tackle for loss. It was all over the place. Stephon Keys got another start tonight, number 42, along with Tylen Singleton. So a lot of guys in your front seven, along with Jordan Gilbert, who would be at star. A lot of people that you saw that did not start this year, at least not a lot. Tylen Singleton getting his first start. Deshaun Spears in for A.J. Halsey. And then you had Jordan Gilbert, who quite honestly got benched this year, didn't play all year, was thinking about redshirting this year, and got to start at star. So a lot of production around there. And I thought the first drive that they had, between all of them, you had a couple of runs. They ran the ball on 3rd and 7, and they got a stop, and they would punt the football away. So a really, really good start. So you're up 7-0. You get a really good stop, and here you go. First possession offensively was probably one of the best offensive possessions that you had had all year. Couple of runs here to start off. You got a Harlem Berry 36-yard run. And I want to stop right there for just a moment. Guys, Harlem Berry is absolutely electric. He gets taken out of the game tonight because of a fumble, and we barely see him after that. But I look at Harlem Berry as a true freshman and say, early on in his tenure, I will take the big boom plays for a bust play in the fumble that he had later in the game, because I don't think that he's going to go in there and fumble the football again. I think he knows what he did, and he'll probably have a lot more focus on securing the football. But the first play that you ran from the line of scrimmage offensively was a 36-yard run by Harlem Berry. I know a lot has been made with Lane Kiffin coming in, Kevin Smith coming in from Ole Miss about what they're going to do with Harlem Berry. You and I have discussed that at length. I just highly suggest, if you don't know and it's your first time you coming back now, go check some other videos. But Harlem Berry had a massive run to start off, breaking a couple of tackles at the line of scrimmage and getting north very quickly for 36 yards. Guys, he's your best back in your room. And why we have, for whatever reason, not giving him more touches and gone complete old school and saying, oh, this guy's going to sit because he fumbled the football. The other guys behind him, fumbles or no fumbles, are not better than him. They're not. So I look at Harlem Berry and say, does the fumbles that he's had multiple of this year, I think 3 total fumbles, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he's had 3 total fumbles on the season. Does that have to get cleaned up? Without a doubt. Needs to hit the weight room wherever he's going to be. I hope it's at LSU. He's got to hit the weight room. He's got to get stronger. I would try to get him over 200 pounds. Get him to 203, 204, 205. Let him gain 10 pounds this offseason. Get him up there in some weight so that he can run through some of these tackles. Because he's your best offensive player right now. As we sit here today, let me back up because Treyz Green still exists. He's your second best offensive player that you have. He's going to continue to show you things like this, man. So you go into the offseason, and the sky's the limit for Harlem Berry, regardless of what he does. But a massive play there. You get into a 3rd and 9 situation, and from 23 yards out, a corner route to Treyz Green that's connected with and a touchdown. Speaking of the best player on LSU's team, and I would just say LSU's best offensive weapon this entire season has been Treyz Green. He is a difference maker, man. And I know there's been rumors out there about Treyz Green. What's his status going to be after tonight's game? As we're live right now, I have no clue. But Treyz Green is the number one target that you got to keep on this team. He is going to be a difference maker for Lane Kiffin and this offense. When you look at Treyz Green, I know I've said this, and this has been a big hot take of mine that I had. I look at Treyz Green and say, guys, in 20, 25 years, you could look up and that guy's got a gold jacket on. That guy's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think he is that special. I think he is that good. I think he has that level of ability. And tonight, he just put it on full display. Now you bring in Lane Kiffin, you bring in Charlie Weiss, you bring in this offensive staff. And I look at an entire situation with NIL, TV revenue, whoever is advising Treyz Green. I think you need to understand the value that will go up with Lane Kiffin for the ultimate prize, and that being a first-round pick. He has that level of ability. I look at Treyz Green being cut from the cloth of some of the greats, and I mean this, some of the outright studs that have graced LSU and graced our great state, that has produced from this great state. He is in that mold. He is in the tutelage of what we see from a Malik Neighbors or a Brian Thomas, or what we see from all of the guys that are from the state of Louisiana that have that level of ability. I look at, there's just no way that Lane Kiffin looks at tonight in the entire season and says to himself, listen, man, whatever Treyz Green is asking for, and I say this to Lane Kiffin if he were standing right here in front of me, whatever he's asking for, you got to go and get it. You got to go and get it. I don't know what his number is. You got to go and get it, because you can't let that human being walk out the door. Bottom line, he is a difference maker. The corner route that he ran tonight, the fade route that he had into the back of the end zone was ridiculous. It's got to be a top play on SportsCenter. If it's not top 3, it's Fugazi, it's fake. The things that Treyz Green can do on a football field gives you the glimpses of what we've seen from the greats at LSU before. You see it, I see it. Guys, we have been, from an LSU football perspective, we are spoiled, to use a quote from Brian Kelly, we are spoiled in this sense. We have been able to see some of the top premier athletes of all time. Some of those premier athletes coming right from your own state in LSU, with guys like Malik Neighbors, guys like Brian Thomas and Odell and Jarvis and Ruben Randall. You can name them over and over again. And Treyz Green, as a tight end / pass catcher, is one of those guys. He put it on full display tonight. And I think that LSU knows that. If you've noticed, everything that LSU has published, everything has been on the face of Treyz Green. He is your dude. He is your superstar. Again, to me, and the quotes that I've had, I think he is a guy that you look up in 20 years and he's wearing a gold jacket. The corner route, guys, he's burning DBs. It is hilarious when you utilize him the right way, what he can do. Like as an example, and we talked about this on Friday, when you don't put him on the end line of scrimmage and you put him in the slot and you put him out wide, look what happens. Look what happens. I think he is the most athletic player on your team, bar none, pound for pound. He's 6'7", he's 250. 6'7", 250. You saw last year what he could do on a basketball court. Blocking a shot and then going down the court and dunking it on a top 10 team's head and saying, there's nothing that you can do about this. He is a high-level prospect. At the highest level. The corner route, the fade route, and even I thought the biggest play that he had was when the game was on the line. He knew that Xavier Thomas was getting stopped, and he gave all-out effort to get him in the end zone. If you're Lane Kiffin, if you're Charlie Weiss, if you're Joe Cox, the new tight ends coach, that is where you start to rebuild your roster. It revolves around Treyz Green. You could say maybe not the entire roster with the pieces, some of the pieces that you have coming back defensively, fair. Like DJ Pickett, PJ Woodland, Deshaun Spears, etc. But you're in a full-blown rebuild offensively. And Treyz Green is at the top of that. He's at the top of that list. We could go on and do a whole Treyz Green show if we needed to. That's how much of a difference maker that I think that he is. So a really big play. You go up 14-0. Look, after your LSU goes up 24-0, they would go on a run where they would get it outscored and go unanswered on a 21-0 run by Houston. The thing in the central part in the second quarter, which quite frankly in the second quarter you got your ass whooped. The second quarter you just got bent over and paddled. Bad baby, bad baby. But every one of these, like I look at the first touchdown score. I look at the second touchdown score. You get them into a 3rd and 6. Excuse me. You get them into a 4th and 1 and you run a QB sneak. And you don't have the right personnel in. I look at the QB power on 2nd and goal that goes for 6, coming out of a false start, and they have a scramble that goes for 11, and Thomas on a fade route goes for a touchdown. Like, I see those things. I see the things of you getting negative plays, them having penalties, and they keep scoring. Because how many times tonight on 3rd down did LSU, or just on a big play, did they keep having mistakes? On that 21-0 run, as an example, I look at the 3rd touchdown drive. You have a fade route that falls incomplete, but you got a PI. You have a false start by Houston, but then Pickett gives up a dagger route for 21. You have a fade that rolls incomplete, but then all of a sudden you have a fade route PI by Jackson, and which I thought was a horrible call on 3rd and 10. Neither one of them could see the football, but it just got so bad that every single time tonight, when you're up 14-0 defensively, you just kept shooting yourself in the foot with penalties. Now tonight, officially, I think it was 9 for 95. I'm going to look this up very quickly. But LSU on the night, 9 for 95. 9 for 95. Most of those penalties coming defensively, most of those penalties coming in critical situations, and you go up 14-0, and when you blink in the second corner, you just got punched in the mouth. Completely rock'em sock'em robots right in the mouth, and basically in a little bit of a quarter plus, because in the second quarter, technically, Houston only scored 14 points, but they scored their first touchdown at the end of the first quarter. And after that, they would just go on a run with you, and there was nothing that you could do about it. Time after time after time in the second quarter, they were punching you in the mouth, and you had absolutely no idea what to do. You gave up a 14-play drive. They gave up 7 minutes of the clock. You had an 11-play, 90-yard drive that only goes for 2 minutes. And basically tonight, in the second quarter and in the fourth quarter, to end both halves, you got dominated and you got outcoached. Houston tonight, how LSU, which is ridiculous, how this game was this close is a little bit of a miracle. Because Houston had the ball for almost 39 minutes of time play. And when you keep the reason that you're able to not get off the field, you're not able to separate from them, and why you lose a football game is because they have the ball for 40 freaking minutes. You can't get anything going, and you have to be perfect offensively, which I thought they did really good tonight for what it's worth to some regard against a really bad defense, I might add. But I look at every time that you need to get off the field, you're doing something and you're shooting yourselves in the foot. The Jackson PI, sure. Should it have happened? No. Was it a bad call? Yes. Did both guys not know where the football was? Sure. I'm with you there. But there's a lot of times, like the horse collar from DJ Pickett, that was brutal. Brutal. Some of the meaningless stuff of just giving them yards. You can't give a team 100 yards and think that you're going to win those football games. Guys, tonight, offensively, you went over 50% for the first time on third down against a P4 opponent. But the thing is that Houston had 32 first downs. You couldn't get off the field. And every time that you needed to end the half that you were in, you got massively outcoached. Willie Fritz dialed things up. Slay Nagel, who was your tight ends coach a year ago, completely dominated you. You got outcoached in every aspect. In every single aspect. You were able to get it as close as you did because you have better athletes than they do. That second quarter, man, a little bit plus, you just flat honestly got your ass whooped. 14 plays, 78 yards, 11 plays, 90 yards. In that 90-yard drive, it was so brutal. The 90-yard drive is just so brutal. How do you give up a 90-yard scoring drive? God, it's so brutal. To give up the lead, I might add. You had a Kojal connection for 4. No, their tight end just basically killed you. You had a 5-yard penalty false start. You had a 21-yard dig route to Young on P.J. Woodland. You had a 15-yard penalty on Jakeem Jackson. You had an unsportsmanlike conduct on Frank Wilson. Just can't happen. And when I talk about outcoach, the Frank Wilson unsportsmanlike is what I mean. Guys, you just gave up a 15-yard penalty. It's egregious. I get it, right? Like, I get it. It was a very, very bad call. What you can't have is Frank Wilson losing his mind on the sidelines and getting flagged and making it worse. Can't have it. You just can't have it. I mean, Willie Fritz and company just outdueled you, man. They did. They did. They pushed you in a locker, and there wasn't nothing you could do with it. So, second quarter, man, You got dominated. You go into the half, down 7, 21-14, and just brutal, dude. Just brutal. You can't stop them. I will say in the second quarter, DJ Pickett had a welcome to Jesus, welcome to college football moment. Every one of these dudes are going to have it, man. I don't care how special you are. DJ Pickett's going to hear his name in the first round of an NFL draft, probably in 2 years. He's going to be he's a special player. We hadn't really seen him get humbled tonight. And Kozel, the tight end, and Young, the receiver, along with Broussard, humbled him. They humbled him. I mean, they did not throw the ball in P.J. Woodland's general direction. They kept going at number 3. All right, freshman, let's see what you got here. And Kozel, who's going to be a tight end selected in this year's draft, I mean, he was eating him alive, and Broussard from Louisiana was eating him alive. He's getting eaten alive. All that being said, though, it's the stupidity and stupid stuff that you were doing on the field that kept prolonging some of these third downs. Getting an unsportsmanlike conduct. That can't happen. I don't care how egregious the call is. The call's not that egregious to then get flagged over it. It isn't. If they miss a blatant face mask that could have given you a first down, fine. But, I mean, he was draped all over him. He did hug him. Do I think it was catchable? No. But he did hug him. Is it a horrible call? Yeah. Did either player not know where the ball is? Yes. He still held him. So, like, that can't happen. And then you lose all momentum, and then the next play you got a slant by Kozel, the tight end who leads all the country in receptions, and he has a touchdown over DJ Pickett. It can't happen. But you were fighting, I guess. You come out of halftime, you get a good stop on them. They run a stick route that falls incomplete to Kozel. Butler in the flat falls incomplete as well. And you start off coming out of the second half with a fade route to Barryon Brown that went for 37. They were running a lot of cover 2 tonight. And why we did not try to get the ball to Barryon Brown more, why we didn't try to get the ball to Chris Hilton until the very end of the game is beyond me. It is beyond me. But you start off the second half with a 37-yard bomb. Michael Van Buren scrambles for 12 and a first down. Kane Durham, dive, misses the hold, no gain. Parker on a drag route for 8 yards, and a 3rd and 2, a dive by Johnson goes for 4. Parker on a slant gets dropped. Houston had 12 players on the field, so you get the penalty there, and then a fade route to Treyz Green, and you answer, and you tie the game up at 21-all on a ridiculous catch by Treyz Green. That kid's going to be special, man, but there's nothing that you could do to stop him. You gave up a 36-yard run to Connors where Tamarcus Cooley completely whiffed on a tackle. Kozel on a post route on DJ Pickett goes for 22. Absolutely mossed you. And then on a 3rd and 2, when they got in the red zone, they run the John Gruden special in a spider 2 wide banana, and they hit you in the flat for a touchdown. Massive plays giving up, stupid penalties given up, like you had a stupid offsides penalty by Patrick Payton earlier in the drive after getting a negative play of 2. But chunk plays killed you. The long run by Connors, we can't stop a white running back to save our lives. The kid from Nichols, the kid Connors tonight, we couldn't stop a white run. Listen, LSU's kryptonite is stopping a dude who's white and can run the football at running back. Good Lord. Good heavens to Betsy. I mean, that is abysmal. But Kozel had DJ Pickett's number, man. And that's, he had at least 5 or 4 catches on him that I can remember, one going for a touchdown. Guys, in the third quarter, you just really, after the first drive, could get nothing going. You had a post bout by Treyz Green that went for 42. How you don't score after Treyz Green goes for 42 yards is beyond me. Well, let me tell you how you did it. You had a scramble right after that goes for 9, and then you roll right, and Oh, you did score. Excuse me. I thought that was a 3 and out. I had the wrong line in the wrong place. You do answer. That's my fault. So good. Glad you answered it. Post route by Treyz Green goes for 42 on 3rd and 10. Absolutely beautiful throw by Michael Van Buren and a great catch by Treyz Green and breaking a couple tackles, going for more. Michael Van Buren on a scramble for 9. That would get you into the 4th quarter. And the roll right Parker on a 6-yard out route touchdown. That would tie it at 28 all. So battling you are offensively. Screen, first play on the 9th possession for Houston. Get a tackle for loss, but DJ Pickett has a horse collar tackle. Brutal. Not going to stop him like that. You got a sweep that goes for 5 yards, and Thomas on a stick route goes for 19 on Jakeem Jackson. Boy, Jakeem had a rough night too. Had a very rough night too. Guys, basically in the 4th quarter, it's all of these 3rd downs. You had a 3rd and 4. Connors goes on a dive for 5 yards. You have a 3rd and 4 again. Connor Wigman on a 5-yard QB power. The very next play, Thomas goes on a screen. It's -6. DJ Pickett makes the tackle. You have another QB power that goes for 7. You get into a 3rd and goal situation. They run a stick route for 1. They get a field goal that's good, and they go up 31-28. And basically the last scoring drive that you had, they just ran the ball all over you, man. You got a 22-yard run, a 22-yard wheel route. They're going right to their running backs, and then Connors breaks off a dive run for 20 yards and into the game 38-28. Brutal, man. Big plays killed you. You got gashed. And I thought Blake Baker would heat up Connor Wigman. He didn't even try tonight. You played a lot of base defense. I don't know why in the hell you did that. Zero clue why you did that. That's dumb. Hey, a guy that you got benched last season, let's not heat him up, and let's sit back in coverage and get zero pass rush. So silly, man. What are we doing there? What are we doing? Let's talk about the 4th quarter 3 and out. The only 3 and out you'd have in the second half. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, the only 3 and out you'd have in the game. So you're down 31-28 in the 4th quarter. And you have a fade route that goes to Thomas that falls incomplete, a hitch route to Chris Hilton that goes for 7. And on 3rd and 3, Thomas on a hitch route gets missed. You got to go for it there, man. You got nothing to lose. They're going to score anyway. You hadn't stopped them in the entire second half. Guys, I think down the stretch, so since BK has left, LSU went 2-3 on the season, including the bowl game. And I think that in this interim tag with Frank, I just think that you've completely mismanaged head coaching situations. You got to go for it there, man. You got to go for it. Go for the win. Why are you playing field position when defensively you've given up 4 straight touchdown drives? Like, that's just dumb. Because you punt the ball away. So what? Let's say it's a turnover on downs, right? Let's say you get a turnover on downs. That's fine. That's cool. It would suck, but at least you're going for it in a bowl game, and you're being aggressive. But, Jesus, you can't stop them. You're just going to run time off the clock. You give up a touchdown anyway, so it wouldn't matter. Oh, man. I got to be real with you. Look, you would go down and score. You had a fade route by Hilton, a post that gets overthrown. 3rd and 13, Thomas on a broken play gets 14. Really good catch by him. Hilton on a slant route gets you to the 1-yard line. You razzle-dazzle your way, and you're unable to get a touchdown until 3 plays after that on a jet sweep where Treyz Green basically gets you in. Oh, man. I don't know. I just don't know anymore. You just constantly shat yourself in the foot. I mean, you did enough offensively. Anytime that you offensively score 35 points, you should win any football game against any opponent. That's on Blake and them. And I know that they had a lot to replace, but Michael Van Buren, guys, had 3 touchdowns. I mean, on the night, he only had 24 rushing yards. I would love to see what happened if you took out the sack yardage. But yet again tonight, Harlem Berry, guys, had 3 carries for 45 yards. Again, you're mismanaged. I thought the way that Frank down the stretch as the interim head coach completely mismanaged as the head coach. I get the fumble, but Harlem Berry's got 3 carries for 45 yards. He's getting 15 yards a carry. Caden Durham, on the other hand, had 5 carries tonight and got 0 yards. Jawan Johnson had 3 carries tonight for 4 yards. The 36-yard run's great. He had another 8-yard run. So again, I'm just so over this season, man. I look back at 2025. I look back at everything that happened, whether it be Brian Kelly or Frank Wilson. And I just think that you mismanage so many situations, whether it be under BK or Frank. Like the Harlem Berry thing to me, man, it bugs me so much. If you want to save him and use him for next season, fine, but he needs reps. You know how you get a guy to stop fumbling? Get him game reps. I mean, Jawan Johnson has announced that he's going to go enter the portal. I know that there's a report out there about Caden Durham because someone's taking a leap at an IG post and trying to say, I know. That's not confirmed yet. And it's not confirmed. Not saying he's not going in the portal because anything can happen. And I could see him going in the portal. But at the same time, that's not confirmed. And y'all need to stop listening to those reports. I mean, it's not yet. Will he even tomorrow make an announcement? I'm sure that he, that's inevitable. But today it's going on off of an IG post. Your running backs outside of Harlem Berry had 10 carries for 8 yards. We're going to repeat that again. The guys that outside of Harlem Berry and not Michael Van Buren, because I'm taking him out, the other guys that you replaced Harlem Berry for in the run game had 10 carries for 8 yards. Harlem Berry's run the ball for 15 yards a carry. Complete mismanagement. So, I look at LSU and I see the talent. I see the things that you can do and the high-level things that you can do, and it just pisses me off. That pisses me. I don't want to break this game down anymore because you're not putting in Harlem Berry. And it's not really the offensive things that, I should be worried about. You still scored a lot of points. That's the thing. Well, you didn't score 35 points offensively. I mean, technically you scored 28. But anytime you score 35 points in a game, you should win. I think Blake played too vanilla. You had a lot of starters out, and you got CJ Jim Coyley and a guy in Jordan Gilbert who's not going to play here anymore. You got a couple of defensive linemen that are out. Does Jack Pyburn make this game any different? I don't know. I do not know. But you got no rush. Does Harold Perkins make a difference in this game? I think that he would. Does Mansour Delane? Yeah, I think he makes a little bit of a difference. Does A.J. Halsey make a difference in this game? I feel very confident that he does. But it just, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. All right. Let's get to a couple things before we get to Super Chat. So, it is being reported that Tyree Adams is indeed going to enter his name into the transfer portal. That adds his name with Cohen Eccles. That adds his name with a couple of the other these offensive linemen like Carius Kern that have announced that they're going to be entering the transfer portal. Guys, outside of Carius Kern, I said this earlier just to reemphasize it, I don't think anybody's irreplaceable along that offensive line. I think Tyree Adams played fair. He did really well in pass pro this year. You can replace the entire offensive line from all I'm concerned. Do I think that LSU needs to do everything they can to keep Carius Kern? Have I been saying that for weeks? Yes. Do I feel confident, as I said last week, last Tuesday or whenever our last show, I think it was last Tuesday and Friday. Do I feel confident that they're going to keep him? No, I don't. So you're going to have a complete revamp. Does Solomon Thomas into the portal? I think that's another name that I'm looking at. Desori Williams. Guys, outside of Braylon Moore, even from a depth perspective, you may be having a new entire offensive line. What does Paul Mabinga do? Does this entire offensive line hit the portal? I don't know. I do not know. But it's a complete rebuild. What I would say about the offensive line and what I've mentioned multiple times, guys, regardless of what you do in the portal, you got a little bit of a rebuild that you got to go on with this. I think that LSU on both lines of scrimmage is going to have to recruit from the high school ranks and develop from within and do a really good job of it offensively and defensively. But you got a little rebuild that you need to go on. Guys, Davion Thomas isn't going to be here. Barryon Brown is not going to be here. Does Kyle Parker stay? Does he leave and go with Cortez Hankton wherever he goes? You probably got 4 different starters along your offensive line. Does Weston Davis enter the portal? All of those things, guys, I have no clue. But you might have a massive overhaul, and I think that we need to be patient. And I've mentioned this about Eric Wolford. There is nobody that has a bigger task on their hands than Eric Wolford along this offensive line. None. It does not exist. You could say, well, Blake, we might not have any scholarship quarterbacks. Well, I feel confident that Charlie Weiss and Lane can get that done. Getting 2, maybe 3 guys is different than getting 4 starters along your offensive line to protect those guys. Look, man, this is going to really hurt me. I think that, and I mentioned this on Friday, I think that you've played at not a high IQ football level along your offensive line, whether it be last year or whether it be this year. You don't know how to pick up basic stunts. It got you again tonight twice. You're not passing things off. You're not doing a good job. You have not been coached well. Because no one has had a worse 2 years. You can say, well, Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan. But I don't think anybody from a position group standpoint has had a worse 2 years than Brad Davis has. I mean, this is abysmal. So Tyree Adams, Cohen Eccles, Carius Kern. Let's see what Weston Davis does. Let's see what Solomon Thomas does. Let's see what Braylon Moore does. Ori Williams. You could have a complete rebuild along your offensive line. They showed me absolutely nothing tonight. Absolutely nothing that would say that they're ready to move on. Nothing. You gave up 4 sacks, brother. You gave up 4 sacks and yet another situation where you can't run the ball. And let's talk about something along this offensive line. Let me mention something. Guys, the run game is not something that is overly complicated. The run game in college football or football anywhere for that matter, power, counter, the things that you run, inside, outside zone, it's not that difficult. You've had a month to prepare. A month. You have an offensive lineman that's calling plays for you. You have a running backs coach that is your interim head coach, and you couldn't do the basic shit right. You haven't been able to do the basic shit right. Are backs missing holes that they blatantly need to hit? Without a doubt. They did it again tonight. But we're talking about all of these guys along the offensive line that are leaving. Quite honestly, outside of Carius Kern, none of them are irreplaceable. They become irreplaceable when you have no depth, and they become irreplaceable when it's a really big stepping stone to have to overcome. It's a lot of adversity that your offensive line coach and Eric Wolford's going to have to overcome. You can't get much worse than what you've been. You can't. You're not going to be worse. there's a lot of things. I don't like putting blanket statement. Let me just say this. I don't like putting blanket statements on shit. Like I don't. I just don't like it. Because when you make a blanket statement, it I just don't like doing it. Your offensive line the last 2 years has been ass. It's been horrible. So do I lean to them? Do I defend them maybe a little bit more than I should? Yes. Because you can't pick up basic stunts. You can't pick up basic stunts. So go on. Go. Good luck. Good luck on your journey. Have at it. But if you think that Lane Kiffin's the problem when you just got your shit pushed in by a Big 12 team who's 68th in the country in stopping the run, no, you got pushed around. You had, guys, tonight marks for LSU, by the way, 21 straight games of a running back not having 100 yards rushing. 21 straight. So whether you want to blame it on the offensive line, whether you want to blame it on the running game and the running backs, whether you want to blame it on play calling, Gus, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to point the finger at. So play calling, offensive line, running backs, it doesn't matter. It hasn't been good. It's been god-awful. You've been in the hundreds in back-to-back years in rushing. You know, I could make a justification for last year. You drop back over 500 times. Nussmeier's throwing the ball all over the place. It is what it is. Not being able to run the football is the reason you got beat last year. And quite honestly, it's why you got your shit pushed in again tonight. You can never, and that's a big reason why LSU's lost a lot of football games. They can never control the clock. They can never just, guys, you've lost 10 games in the last 2 seasons. You're averaging being 7-5. You lost 6 this year. You lost 4 last year. I mean, it's just 8-5, I guess is what I should say. You're averaging being 8-5. But it's horrible. The lack of physicality that you have up front, the lack of want to. Standing straight up out of your stance. Look, man, I mean, you go in the portal and gloves come off. So good luck to everybody. Wish you well, but let's not act like you played great. Because you didn't. All right, another thing. So Lane Kiffin met with the met with ESPN and Cole Kubelik. Let me start off with Cole Kubelik first. So Cole Kubelik a couple of weeks ago went on his radio show and had a small tantrum in reference to Lane leaving Ole Miss for LSU. You're on the telecast tonight. Why didn't you call him out on it? Everybody's talking mad shit now. Why didn't you talk it to his face? Now, I know you gave him a trash bag to kind of make fun of him, which can't walk out with a basket even though he brought it back. Keep that same energy, brother, because I don't miss. I'm like an elephant. I don't forget. Regardless of that, so Lane Kiffin met with ESPN. A lot has been made about what Lane Kiffin's going to do in high school recruiting. He came out today and said, "Listen, does my philosophy change now that I'm at LSU versus me being at Ole Miss? Yes, it does. We got to like the state of Louisiana down. I'm sure he's been told, like, hey man, you got to bring in the dudes from this state. I mean, you just got to. And everybody's like, oh, well, Kiffin likes to go from the portal. And we talked about this in recruiting last week. People say, oh, Blake, you're crazy. He's not going to do that in high school recruiting. Okay, well, you're going to see. You'll see. He understands. You know, when Kiffin says, well, look, Saban told me it's the number one state per capita, even though people are like, oh, no, it's not. Per capita of players being put in the NFL. He understands that. He understands it. January 2nd can't get it here fast enough because right now you got to go through the portal. And guys, probably over the next 2 years, based off of having to completely restructure this team, you're going to have to go in the portal in back-to-back years at a high level. So doesn't take away from the high school stuff, but you're going to have to go in the portal because you're going to have to replenish. All right. Let's get to the super chats here. Shaquan says Treyz Green will go off next year with a $2 super chat. I completely agree with you there. He also sends a $10 super chat, says we still had some key pieces out there defensively and we were getting gashed play after play, but I guess it's just a ball game. Who really cares? That game just sums up the whole season. Save us, Lane, please. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, though, is that those guys, some of them, you rely on them to be your starter. You know, after listening to telecast night, does seem like Whit Weeks will come back. So it's him, Keys, him, Singleton, whoever it is, whoever it is. I think tonight proved that you need to go get another defensive tackle, if not two. Look, I think Don McKinley's a good player. I don't think he's a 5-star level player. At least he's not playing like it right now. He's not. But you need some interior defensive linemen. And guys, quite honestly, you need edge. You need an edge rush. You need a guy that can go rush the passer. You have not had that. You have not had that. That's got to change tonight. Tonight. There's no way that you can see. And listen, maybe there's a situation where Lane went to Blake Baker and says, hey, man, I want you to run base defense. I want you to run basic shit. I get the win-loss, but I need to see what we have here. We need to see what we have here. And Billy Glasscock was in attendance with Lane Kiffin tonight, and I'm sure that they'll have a conversation if they haven't already had it. Like, look, man, this is what we need, and we need it now. You're going to have to get some defensive players too. It's going to have to be in the front seven, and you're going to have to hit there. You know, Jaheim Otis just went back into the portal. I think that would be a great place to start. A great place to start. Shaquan says Green and Kyle Parker offensively send everyone else to the curb. I'd go Harlem Berry too. Now, does Kyle Parker leave with Cortez getting it, going out the door? You know, they have a really good connection. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Kyle Parker. Very interesting. George Seal, our good buddy George, 985 till we die with a $100 super chat, says on to the next year. Late Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Well, George, send me your address, buddy. Send me your address. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you too. We just today wrapped up our 5th and final Christmas. And to say that I'm exhausted is a massive understatement. But yes, our 5th, excuse me. We got a party next week for New Year's. So yeah, I'm a little exhausted. If you can't tell. But it's been very good. Very, very good holiday. But Merry Christmas to you and yours. George, send me your address. Penn Jones with a $5 super chat says, same BS, no excuse. Barely only got 3 carries. He says Frank's sick ass as a coach, or sucks ass maybe, as a coach. Thank God Old Piss has him now. Yeah, I don't think Frank from on field is a big loss. Recruiting, we can have our debates there. But just on field, I mean, it's the same old shit. How that young man has 3 touches and 3 carries on the night is absolutely bombastic. Adam with a $10 super chat says Lane has a chance to do one of the greatest things ever, leave Frank and the remaining offensive staff on the tarmac. Yeah, I mean, it would be funny, but the backlash from that would be insane. I mean, but Frank, I mean, Frank says he's going to be in the Sugar Bowl next week with Ole Miss. They're not going to do that, though. They're not going to do that. But it would be funny if they did. Fred on YouTube with a $10 super chat says, I got an idea. 3 timeouts left. Why are we driving? Why don't we burn 2 of them and force ourselves to kick an onside? Terrible clock management. Oh, Frank said horrible clock management. He said horrible management, period. Shaquan with a $5 super chat says, Green, Kyle Parker, and Harlem offensively send everyone's ass to the curb. There you go. There you go. Adam, who's been a member on the YouTube channel for 3 months, says lining up in shotgun to gain a Subway sandwich. Poo emoji. Yeah, that drives me insane. That drives me insane. It took us 3 plays. 3 freaking plays to get into the end zone. You had to go 6 yards. They blow it dead. Remember, guys, they blew it dead because Braylon Moore moved the ball up a little and went it past the goal line. So even shorter than 6 inches. That's what she really says. Doug Knows with a $2 super chat says, Frank Wilson sucks. He didn't use 1 timeout in the first half. Yeah. Not good. Fred with a $10 super chat says, don't let the fact that we just lost to Houston distract you from the fact that Matt House is still a mark-ass trick. Yeah, I mean, he is. He is. But tonight has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with that the Brian Kelly era is officially over. And now you get to move on. You know, do I think that this state embraced BK and he did not embrace them back? Yes. I mean, shit, when this state asked him for money, they gave him money. And look what they did in the DB room. But they missed on guys. I mean, like Austin missed on Bauer Sharp. He missed on Josh Thompson. He missed. They missed at evaluating this offensive line and receiver room. Because you paid Nick Anderson and Barry Brown a lot of money, and they did not give you good production. Garrett Nussmeier is the highest paid player on your team, and he did not live up to the number that you gave him. If you're going to pay someone well over 7 figures, I better see better than what I'm seeing. So there's that. Cole says, can I get a hell yeah? Tell him, Blake. What part is that for? But yeah, the new era is here. Thank God. Guitar George on YouTube with a $2 super chat says, escort the entire O lines of the portal or the door. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just going to keep saying outside of Carius Kern, nobody is a big loss here to me. Nobody. No one's not irreplaceable along that offensive line. Alex George became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Fred says the Timu Scadaboo doing more as a 0-star recruit than anything Frank Wilson has coached in recent years. Have fun at Ole Miss. Look, man, it's not been good. I mean, I've said this a couple of times, and people get mad at me for saying stuff like this. Like, really get mad at me. Frank was the assistant head coach when Les should have been fired in 2015. He was a big part at building and orchestrating that staff, that roster. Same exact thing here, guys. Same exact thing here. Like that, when we talk about recruiting, it's more than just getting players in the state. It's about roster building. Was Nick Saban a great recruiter? Yes. Was he a better roster builder? Yes. Managing his roster, building what he needs to build. That was his superpower. But you can't, I mean, he's a massive part of that. If Brian Kelly wasn't doing anything and Frank Wilson was ahead of the ship, I mean, y'all can't walk back on your words now. Frankie says, all I know is that it's over. The season's finally over. All aboard the lane, Trey. Everybody, go Tigers. Very true. Very true. Royce Pierce with a $20 super chat. Thanks, Royce. He says, let's put the negativity aside for a minute and appreciate another season where we were able to watch forever LSU. It's a very good way of looking at it. And Royce always gives us a glass half full take. And I love it. I love that about him. Yes, we do get to move on. That's the most exciting part in all of this. Doug No says, congrats on complete dumbass running back rotations, Ole Miss. Not good, man. It just, I don't get it. I don't get what he's doing. Fred with a $10 super chat says, if Ramos has any eligibility left, I would love to donate to any other team's NIL to get him the hell away from LSU. Stop making TikToks and practice kicking the football. Yeah, if you do make that field goal from earlier in the game, you're tied there at the end. Damian just had, he's done a lot of really good things. We won't talk about that. But he's also missed some critical kicks. Critical. Critical. And I think Aaron Burrell's better than him. And I don't know how they don't see that. I don't know how they don't see that at all. Fred says Eric Rush eats corn on the cob the long way. Oh. Sounds awful for Eric. He also says, Fred, if you really think about it, Lane has probably just trolling Ole Miss by giving them a glimpse of what they're getting with Frank Wilson. No, Frank Wilson did that before Lane was here. So that logic is kind of out the door here. Boogerman with a $10 super chat here says biggest rebuild will be both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensive and defensive lines got dominated. I agree. And I think more along the offensive line, you got a full-blown rebuild. And we're going to have to be patient. You're not going to – the likelihood, although small, it's not impossible. It's going to be really difficult to land on 4 portal linemen. All of them. And that's just on the offensive line. It's going to be difficult. Not impossible. We saw Oregon win the Big Ten last year, and they had 3 that they landed on. And they got lucky. They got lucky about what they were doing at center. Lucky. Very lucky. They had to replace both tackles this year. They had another 3 offensive linemen portal haul that they hit on. So, again, is it impossible? No. Is it just very difficult? Yes. And you're going to have to spend a lot of money on them. It's the nature of the beast. You don't have a choice. They can kind of dictate what they're going to get paid too, because if you don't go and get some of these guys, you're shit out of luck. You're very much shit out of luck. So, yeah, it's the biggest rebuild by far. Fred says, good news, less than 50 days until LSU baseball. Go for number 9. Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll be here for it. You know that. Jay Addison with a $5 super chat says, I hope Ole Miss takes the entire offense. I hope they do too, because it's been absolutely god-awful. All right. It's 1:30 in the morning. We'll see y'all again tomorrow. And yes, I say that because this is Sunday. See y'all on Monday. Y'all have a good night. Peace.